Alright, I thought I'd make a video on how to solder. I thought that might be kind of a simplistic video, but then I realized not everyone knows how to solder. And if you didn't know how to solder, you might want to watch a video like this. So I'll tell you a little bit about soldering. Lots of reasons to want to solder, from fixing cords and little simple connections like this to doing electronics and whatnot. The only real hazards are, dealing with something that's hot, as well as the fumes that can come off of it. Now, dealing with circuit boards and things that are in plastic, fuses and whatnot, the heat can melt that too, so you got to watch that. We're going to do a simple connection today, just I'm putting a cord on this little electric motor here. So we're going to be making these connections, and I'll tell you how to solder. So you got your soldering iron, and you plug it in, and these are all the things you'll need to solder. You've got a sponge or I have a wet piece of t-shirt, works real well. And you'll plug in your soldering iron until it gets hot. Usually there'll be some old solder on there that starts to melt, and that'll sort of see how it's sort of wiping off, and now that it's finally heating up, sort of wiping off. And there's different types of soldering irons. You can also use them for wood burning and things like that. But you want to have ventilation, and so we open the door here to sit next to me, and the solder, there's different things you need here. This is some flux, and flux helps the metals bond, the solder bond of the metal. Some types of solder have flux in them. Some solder is lead-free. This is some lead-free solder. It's safer to use, but it doesn't seem to stick quite as well. And same with the fluxless solder. So, like a lot of things like that, the way you use flux is this little flux brush here, and I'll show you what to do with that. Once you've got your connection good, you want to just brush a little flux on there, that's all. Just a little bit. You don't want to have too much, actually. It'll kind of bubble and make problems. Alright, now this connection, I want to have it hold itself. I don't want to have things falling apart while I'm trying to solder. So you want to make a connection, kind of make an X and twist the wires around each other. Alright, so that we have this holding itself together. So it makes it easy to solder. That was my point there. We do have to put a little flux on this one. We only flux this one over here. Alrighty. And of course I'm soldering on this brick, so it's a real safe surface to solder on. I shouldn't have any problems with that. And it depends on the temperature of your soldering iron, but it takes a second to melt the solder if it's not very hot. And I like to be hot, so it just kind of melts right in to the fibers of the metal. Now if I started adding more, it would just get globby. I'd start to melt this plastic. I'd be making fumes. You don't need that much. Just a little bit. It's improving this connection. Spread that while it's wet. Alright. And when it was melted, you can kind of spread it and whatnot. And so there you go. Just made that connection there. And then I'm just going to use some electrical tape that up, and then this motor will work with a new cord. So yeah, that's how to solder. I'm going to clean my tip off here. That's how to solder, why you might want to solder, and these are the things that are necessary for soldering. But I hope you enjoyed this video. And another reason that's important to know how to solder is if you want to make your own, like solar panels, small motors like this. If you solder all the connections, that can help with continuity or grounding things. There's really tons of reasons to know how to solder. Every time you've ever twisted some wires together and just taped it, that could have been soldered, and it would have been a little bit more legit. Alright, well, Again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Go solder something.